Hi and welcome to Eldar Army. Today's episode is all about these guys, the Swooping Hawks. This is a video for people who have got Swooping Hawks and want to use them in 7th edition. It will also rate them to some degree of how good they are, but that isn't the main purpose of the video. I'm not here to say how other things could be better. I'm trying to say, look, let's assume that you've got the models, that you want to put them to good use. What's the best way of getting bang for your buck out of these guys in the current codex? So without further ado, let's go into, as usual, the history of the model. Now, the history of the model. These are the original Rogue Trader 1991 Swooping Hawks. They were released in White Dwarf 124 and 127, backed by Jez Goodwin's, in Jez Goodwin's day, and they're, I wouldn't say unique, but they're fairly unusual in that there's actually only 2 versions of this model. Most, in fact, all but the Swooping Hawk, all but the Shining Spears went through 3 versions of the figure. These chaps only went through 1. So what you've got here is the Exarch with the, if you've ever modelled him, the infamous wings that meant he couldn't fall, he would fall over. So I've actually had to model him with a 40mm base, which is not ideal, but at least he stands up. Also, he's pinned. I don't know if you can see underneath the base there. He's got a pin going right through the middle. So he's pinned right up one of his legs, and also the back wings are pinned, drilled through both the metal and the body and pin them. So they're all pinned at the back. It's quite hard to spot that they have been pinned, but they are pinned straight through the back. I did that in order to make sure they stand up. Some of these models are actually, I've collected them off eBay, but the majority of these models are actually really old. They're actually, it's quite sobering, but I think they're 25 years old now, which is, and they've been in my possession for that long. So it's quite a long time to own a model. Now in that time, they've only had 1 revision. Now, to be fair, that revision's changed once with the addition of fine cast. So in 1998, in 3rd edition, now you have to excuse the quality of these models because they've actually suffered in the heat a little bit, so they've bent because they're fine cast. They're not in great condition. This one's almost sitting over, as you can see. They are meant to be slightly off center, but I don't think to that degree. So this, and also the gun. If you see, the gun's got a bend in it and stuff. So I've got. Now I don't use these. I don't prefer to use them, and you can see they're not in very good condition, unfortunately. They could be repaired if I was. Felt the need to, but these are the ones that most people are familiar with. These are the models that most people are familiar with. They come with the wings at the back. So the Exarch has, this is the Exarch model, I've lost his arm as well, which is, you can see, not very good. So he has these 2 wings. Now they're 6 individual wings and they glue on. Not sure if they're the same as the Autarch wings. I think they are. They may not be though, I'm not sure. So these 2 wings glue onto his back individually, and the rest of the Swooping Hawks have these wings here, which I don't know if you can see, but they're pretty good, and they're great for doing conversions as well. So they're not unattractive models at all. I think, if I'm honest, I think the poses and stuff are probably better. They look nicer now. So they were released as metal in 1998 in 3rd edition, and then they were re-released in 2011 as fine cast. I would probably say that, in my honest opinion, I will end up collecting another one of these, probably in metal, off eBay at some point, because I do rate them. Okay, but because these are better painted, and I use these actually in game, these are my. I mean, they weren't poor to begin with. I think that's probably one of the reasons why they've not had so much attention as a model, in that they were actually pretty good models in the first instance. I also remember, now I've tried to look on the internet for a copy of this, and I may find one. If I have, I'll be floating around here on the video, but there is an image of them with fairy wings, and they look more like what ended up being the kind of wings that Corsairs have, if you know the jetpacks that Corsairs get. And they were flying in the air, very high in the air, in a picture, and I believe it was in Rogue Trader, and they had fairy wings. I believe they actually had a pair of fairy wings like dragonflies, so 2 wings on each side like that. Okay, I can't find that picture anyway, but I do remember it, and that was before the Aspect Warriors. So even when Rogue Trader, I think it was Rogue Trader, if it wasn't Rogue Trader, it was in a very early White Dwarf, but I think it was in the original Rogue Trader, and they're very small, they're in the background of another shot. But it clearly had them in mind as a sort of flying, floaty a sort of unit. They're also, from that shot, it's clear that they're meant to be in the air. They're not actually on the ground. And this is represented by the way that their gaming mechanics work. So, without further ado, let's go into the pros and the cons. So without further ado, let's go into the pros and the cons. So, welcome to the pros and the cons. As usual, we'll go through the pros first. What are the pros of Swooping Hawks? Well, in a word, these are the pros of the Swooping Hawks. Dice, and you get a lot of them. When you look at the profile of Swooping Hawks, the first thing you see is they've got a very good grenade pack, and you go, oh, that's really good. Actually, it's kind of underwhelming for me, but we'll go into that later. It has effectively las guns with a bit more, one more, like a bit more shot. And they have this quite nifty way of getting on to vehicles. And it's quite tempting to see them as a fast-moving, highly fragile, you deposit them on the board, they get wiped out kind of unit, like a bit like Fire Dragons. They're not like that at all. They're one of the most complex units to actually explain, so I'm going to do my best in terms of the dynamics of the game and how you use them and how you learn how their strengths are built. You will just see how phenomenally good they are. There is a build that I won't share with you that I put together, and it's a very, very strong build, and it heavily utilizes Swooping Hawks. I won't share it with you. This is something that's a bit strange to bring up, but I've discussed it with a few friends of mine, and it would probably change the way people play Eldar. So I don't really enjoy that, actually. So I've never played it. It would be very expensive to collect, and my opinion is that it would be very, very hard list to play against. So Swooping Hawks can be very, 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 very strong. Now, what have they got going for them? They've got the Swooping Hawk wings, which give them an 18-inch move. They're one of only 2 units that I know of. There may be others, but there are only 2 that I know of that can move in all 3 phases of the game. So they can move in movement, they can move in shooting, and they can move in assault. That is massive. If you take a battle host formation, they get a 6-inch auto run. If you take Baharoth, and we'll talk about Baharoth later, that 6-inch run becomes 9-inch. Guaranteed, if they're in a squad with him because of his and he's the warlord, because of the warlord trait. If you move them 18 inches, you run them 6 if you want because of the formation choice, or if you don't choose that formation, D6, but you can still make it +3 if you choose to. And it's expensive to take Bahar off, but there are reasons why you might consider it. And then you also move 2d6 in the assault phase if you don't assault. So they can shoot, so they can move 18 inches guaranteed, move another 9, shoot, then move another 2d6. That is insane. When you actually see that on the board, that's insane. They can pretty much get certainly halfway across the board in one turn. They're more manoeuvrable than a jet bike by quite a margin. I mean, they're literally, in fact, you could argue they're 3 times. They've got 3 times the guaranteed movement of a jet bike, as long as the jet bike's not going flat out, and they can shoot. The second thing is the weight of dice. Now, because this is something that in fact, I missed it, and I'm pretty sure I've never actually seen anybody use it. They get Hammer of Wrath. Because they're jump pack infantry, they get Hammer of Wrath, and everyone forgets this. So, why do I show this amount of dice for the pros? Let me tell you. They get an Assault 3 weapon, which is pretty amazing that they have an Assault 3 weapon, but they get it. It's Strength 3, but let's just ignore that for now. They get 3 shots. They get Hammer of Wrath, and they get to run, and charge that. Each of these models can put out 6 Strength 3 attacks in a turn. So just think about that for a minute, right? Would you rather have, I don't know, like a grey hunter or a salt marine or something, or that can do strength 4, or would you rather have these that can do strength 3, but that many of them? Okay, so remember this is a squad of 6. Now there's, as you know, because you'll have read the rules, squad of 6 with an Exarch is the way to take them. And we'll talk about the builds later on. But suffice to say for this intro, the explanation of the pros, that the builds, they all include an Exarch. And the reason why you include an Exarch is he's not quite as many shots as taking another body, but he's cheaper than taking another body. He gives you a guaranteed deep strike, and he's just a better all round. He's just a better all round choice for the unit because of his BS5 and things like that. Now, if you take them as an aspect host as well, they're one of the few aspect hosts that will actually get you. You could take all Swooping Hawks and do very, very well. There aren't many aspect hosts that really, when you take 3 of something, are worth it, and they're one of them. Okay, so you could take, for 106 points, you can take this unit. Okay, it's incredibly cheap. I'll talk about the anti-armor roll. They've got a massive anti-armor roll, by the way, an anti-vehicle roll, a flyer, sorry. So just looking at these dice, because I'm jumping around, but there are so many things to bring up with these guys, it's hard to know where to start, right? So we'll break down what they can do, okay? They really are an encyclopedia of knowing the rules, okay? So if you've got them and you want to use them, this is what I would suggest. You can, this is 3 guys. Literally, that's these 3 guys. You can double that. That's a squad. Now, so why do you take 6? Because you get the blast, you get the large blast, brilliant, right? So, you start them on the board. You place them on the board. You immediately do this flying high thing, it's called flying high, I forget what it's called now. You disappear off the table. You go into ongoing reserve, so by turn 2 you can land. You can shoot your large blast, which ignores cover, which is great. You then pretty much decide where you want to go. You don't scatter, which is great. If they shoot, they have to shoot that unit they've just landed their pie plate on, which isn't terrible. They get an enormous number of shots. I mean, this is the number of shots this unit makes. It's then going to do, it can't charge until it lands, but with the amount of movement they get, you can pretty much guarantee where you want to go. So you could say, you know what, I'm going to put these, and they'd be miles over here on the board. And then you move 18 inches, then you move another 9, or 6, and then you move another 2. I mean, they never get. Their toughness 3 is probably irrelevant. I'd go so far as to say it's irrelevant. If you're playing on a board where you can't squirrel these guys away, then really you're not playing the game right. With that amount of movement and the fact they can deep strike without scattering, there was just no chance you can't put these units somewhere clever. And if you really can't, because they've got that much board control, you've probably lost already. So I won't worry too much about their impact, because if you've got so little board control with Eldar, now you've got to remember that these come alongside their people like jet bikes and scat bikes and very fast moving units. So among the fast moving units of the game, I think probably only Dark Eldar could probably compete. And maybe Gene Stealers as well now, because of the way they work. But this is still a horrendously fast moving unit. I mean, it literally it's embarrassingly good. I mean, a 20, if you take them with the bar off, a 27-inch move and then shoot, and a deep strike wherever you like. I mean, it's just crazy. It's proper crazy how good they are for movement. But if you don't understand why movement affects 40k, this is hard to say, but one of the biggest weaknesses I see in Eldar players is they don't understand the role that movement takes in the game. And until you've played other armies like I have, if you play Eldar only, you'll take for granted the movement Eldar get. They're very weak, but they move well. But the truth is, other armies don't move well. In fact, you can pretty much guarantee that just by looking at the board, 90% of the movements that are going to happen, just by looking at the board, you do not get that with these guys. Your opponent will look at your setup and he'll have no idea where you're going to put them. Literally no idea. and they have a multiple set of threats. So let's look at how good they are. Let's say you take an aspect host, and I would take the BS5, and I would, okay? Because they're so cheap, you almost have to take them an aspect host. For 106 points, so for 318 points, you can have 3 of these units, and they are definitely viable if you take 3 of them. That is not a lot of points, and you get a heck of a lot of stuff. Okay, and we'll talk about their anti-air capabilities in a bit, but basically they're only probably they are the cheapest anti-air option that Eldar have. Okay, and they're excellent at it. Okay, so against unit 5 Marines, let's say. Okay, missing on 1s, so 1 miss, which is a bit lucky. Okay, and wounding on 5s. With 40k, the more dice you put on the board, the better you do. Always. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wounds, right. It's actually hard to count them when I'm this side on, okay? So 6 wounds. No, what am I talking about? 7. 7 wounds, okay? Oh no, that's a 4. Sorry. And they're going to save, aren't they, Marines? Okay, so they've actually been really lucky and they've passed all their saves. But you can see that, you know, bolters wouldn't have done worse than that. They would not. So, what else do you get? Well, you charge them. Let's say you charge the Marines, okay? So, I know that obviously you've got to have a turn on the board by now, so let's just assume that you've had a turn in squirreled away somewhere, okay? So 6 Hammer of Wrath attack, strength 3, they automatically hit. Okay, so that's 2 wounds. Okay, so that's 2 dead Marines. So now we're down to 2 Marines left of our unit of 5. Okay. Then we hit first with 2 attacks each. So it's actually 19 attacks because he gets 13 attacks because he gets 2 because he's an Exarch. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. They're all strength 3. So I've got a hit on 4s. Okay, I'll count that as a 4 and that's cocked. Okay, no. So I've got 1. Okay, there's 2 Marines left, remember, in my fictional scenario. Okay, so that's 3 wounds, so there's 2 left. So, when you look, we'll strip 1 down, maybe we won't. Yeah, 1's dead. Okay, so now 1 Marine left. What they've done, just because, I mean, bolters aren't great, and no one's going to say bolters are good. In fact, bolters are very underpowered in the game. But these are assault, they're not rapid fire. They can go in and put 6 dice in them. Yeah, you're going to have to fish for 5s and 6s to get wounds against Marines. But not everybody plays Marines. Against Sisters of Battle, these are actually really good. Because they rely on weight of dice. And anything that puts these guys put 36 dice on the table, all strength 3, and 6 of them hit automatically. 18 of them hit on anything but 1s. The others hit on 4s. So, you know, but you're going to land about 22, 23 wounds. Sorry, you're going to land 22, 23 hits with strength 3. Okay? And you decide what you do with that. But it gets better. They can throw a haywire grenade. So if they're against a rhino or something, you know, I'll strip a hull point. What did I get? Oh, I got a penetrating hit for fun. Okay, so you know, whatever happens with that, then I go into combat and I'll just have another hit. That's actually a hit, and then another hull point. So they can just take 2 hull points off a vehicle most of the time. Now, before they frequently ask questioned the rules in 40k, this squad could have put 6 haywires onto the vehicle, which is actually just how I actually would have suggested using them. And if you're not using the frequently asked question, I mean, then I would probably just do that. So you literally let that many hits and then haywire. This is close combat, and then one you get to throw 1 as well. And well, it's just taken 4 hull points. That's a Land Raider. I mean, they were really, really good with the haywire. So, but I'll go back into the last part of the pros, which is against flyers. Now I do have a flyer, but I haven't got it out, so I'm not gonna. We'll just have to pretend, okay? So the way it works with flyers is if they travel over them in the movement phase, not in the assault phase, and not in the shooting phase, okay? So just so you know, it's just in the movement phase. They've got to get 18 inches over them, and there's a way you use that. I'll tell you later on. So let's assume that the enemy's kind of daft enough to let them within range. Then you're going to do, this guy's going to do 6. Unit's going to do 6 attacks. They need 4s. Okay, so I've got 3, which is bang average. And then the haywire hits. I think you've got to roll on the haywire table again. So I got a pen and 2 glances. Now, you can't jink. You cannot jink. And that is massive. Why can't you jink? Because it's not a shooting attack, and it doesn't happen in the shooting phase. I've looked at it carefully, and I just cannot see anywhere it says you can jink. So the amazing thing about these guys is they are really good against flyers. No one with half a brain would put their flyers near them, or if they didn't know the rules for them. That squad of 6, most of the time, will kill a flyer of 3 hull points, and it doesn't matter what it is. For 106 points, that's insane. So, but they've got to fly over the base. They've got an 18-inch range, but they can deep strike. So you can pretty much decide that where you're going to hit the first one. You can pretty much, if you want to suicide that unit, you can pretty much take it. You know, certainly if you've got 2 squads of them, you can guarantee to wipe out someone's air, which is not a bad trade-off if there's a big flyer that they've put a lot of points into with a load of Terminators inside or something like that. So, with regards to their ability versus vehicles, it's very good. It's not going to take a vehicle down on its own. On the ground, they could 50-50. They'll take a vehicle out in the air on their own with no help, and really they are just insane because they are multi-role. They're anti-horde. They're helping stripping points off vehicles. Reliably, they're reliable at it, you see. They're only good for 2 of them, but they're reliably good for 2 of them. And the third thing is flyers, they're 50-50 on flyers. So they're hordes, they're vehicles, and they're flyers. And how do you maximise that? Well, you take 2 squads. If you take 2 squads like this, you can exercise enormous board control. You can make no-fly zones where the enemy has to be channeled. You can then make sure that your other units which are supporting you can do damage. If you take 1 Crimson Hunter and 2 squads of these, it's cheaper than 3 Crimson Hunters by quite a bit, and they are better. I mean, it's not as many strength for 8 shots, but in my opinion, they're better because of the utility they have, certainly against hordes and their movement. Because Crimson Hunters they can't control objectives late game and stuff like that. So at least comparable to a squad of 3 Crimson Hunters. And I mean that with the formation that Crimson Hunters get. Okay? So all in all, they are really, really strong. So let's go straight into the cons. Well, without that many pros, you'd think, what could possibly be the cons? There are some cons with them. I mean, toughness 3 is obvious. They are not very good in assault. If they don't clear out the unit they're attacking, they're in trouble. Okay? They've only got 4 up armor. And they're toughness 3, which means if you don't use them carefully, they'll be dead. There's nothing in the game that if it doesn't get an eye on these, won't kill them. And quite honestly, that's their con. That they are 4 up armor, which is terrible, and they die to a round of shooting. So if you do need to do something suicidal with them, they're going to die. If you need to fly them over a flyer to get the hits, then they're going to land in the middle of nowhere, middle of everywhere. But you you need to do it to get the movement, then unfortunately they're going to be dead. Okay, they're not very good against Tyranid flyers because they're not vehicles, and so if you do decide to take them as one of the weaknesses, they basically strength 4 hits, which I think Hive Crown's toughness 4, so toughness 6. So it's not. I think that might even be toughness 5 actually. So it's not terrible that they're strength 4, but it's worse. You want haywire really. So that's another one of the cons. They are expensive. They're highly flexible. So let's go on to the builds. Build 1, as I've already told you, is the strongest way to take them hands down, and it's take a unit of 6. 106 points. Don't take the Hawk's Talon on him. No upgrades other than the Exarch, 6 men. It gives you all the things you need, it gives you the blast template, but it also gives you a slight advantage in the weight of dice, and you don't scatter. Okay, so the Exarch gives you 2 things. It gives you a large blast on arrival, and it gives you no scatter. Those 2 things are essential for you to control their movement. Their movement is what keeps them alive. If you don't know how to play them, I can't actually sort of show you this. You just have to learn it. Basically, you're trying to move on a triangular fashion across the flanks of the enemy. Okay, so let's say let's just show you what I mean. Okay, let's say let's say you've set up against Tau like this, and this is the board. Okay, let's move our guys out of the way so I'll show you the build here. You put them here, you would blast that, and then you would move them behind a building. And you would shoot them first, then move them behind the building with a 6-inch move, because you've taken the aspect host, the battle host. And you need to put them in a building. And by you picking the flank, you make it so that none of those units can actually shoot at them. Now, they have smart missile systems, things like that, in the Tau army, but not everyone takes them anymore. In fact, quite a lot of people just take Riptides and stuff. So you get away with it that way. But if they do have smart missile systems, you're kind of stuffed. For things like that, indirect fire and stuff, if they get hit, they're dead, and you have to take that risk. But if you take 2 squads and do the same on both flanks, so you drop, bomb, you've got great cover. Also, you can do it all on one flank, so you can ensure saturation of that unit, okay, which might be a squad of fire warriors or something. So 2 hits of no cover, strength 4, plus if it's this many shots, it's 36 shots, BS5, you're going to whittle them down, and they still jump out of the way. Okay, so that's how you use the movement, and this is why build 1 is a very strong build. It's also modular, and it does multiple things. In fact, the only thing it doesn't do is anti-heavy armor, and they're no good against gargantuan creatures. Okay, so without further ado, let's talk about build 2. So, build 2. Now, there aren't really any more choices. I would actually look at taking Baharov. Now, how many backing signals you take is up to you. I wouldn't have a problem with you taking 9 of them with the Exarch and Baharov. I've done this. Now, there's a massive, massive problem with this in one respect, which is if you do need to rely on the haywire grenades that they've got, this is terrible. But in every other respect, this is good. And quite often, you don't need to rely on the haywire grenades. I've used them to finish off monoliths and stuff like that with this squad. But the main purpose of this squad is area denial for flyers, because there's no one going to be able to survive it if they go over them. The extra 3-inch movement is actually really, really influential. And he does actually give quite a good buff in combat. He's rubbish in combat compared to the compared to Morgan Rye, he's an absolute joke in combat, but he's incredibly good at moving. And so what he's got is he's got this blind rule, which it's actually all right, but it's just all right. He's also got this weird sword that creates blind as well, so he's going to blind people sooner or later. But his main thing is that he's got this Hammer of Wrath at strength 4, which isn't bad. And then he's got an AP3 weapon at strength 4, which isn't bad. It kills Marines. And he's got a hit and run. And they all add up to a very, very good mix. Now he's 170 points, which is a lot. So you go, right, okay, so what's this unit cost normally? Well, normally this unit costs, let's see, they're 16 points each plus the Exarch. So that's 160 points plus 170, so it's 340 points. Now you're like, what? 340 points? But he's got Eternal Warrior. This unit has now got, I think, 16 wounds, something like that. So it's 10 plus 1 plus 3. So 14 wounds, okay? And he's got a 2-up save. So he can potentially tank stuff at the front with lookouts there. You know, if you're feeling a bit vulnerable, he can help you finish combat and certainly get out of there with hit and run. And their movement is absolutely berserk. And you use this unit to make your enemy move where you want him to, which is a bit bizarre. So let's say you want him. This can clear pretty much anything off any objective as well. So a drop pod army, this is actually really good at countering to it, because it's enough shots and enough Hammer of Wrath and enough close combat attacks that they really can smash things in. It's also worth upgrading him to Hawk's Talon, because the Hawk's Talon with the two of them actually becomes quite good, because you think you get 6 strength 5 shots then, and actually that's not bad. It's not bad short change as well for their ranged attack. So you basically use them like I used that small unit of 6 in the pros to kind of guarantee a smash of a unit. Now you might think, well, why don't I just take 2 units of 5? You can, and also bear in mind this is a video for people who've got the models already. But I would recommend that you take an X-Arc in 2 units of 5. It comes in a lot cheaper than this. You can do most of what the unit of 5 does with better area denial. But it's kind of for him, because he's quite, like I say, for a Swooping Hawk he's good, but for a Phoenix Lord he's rubbish. But he does have his uses, and he can make the difference. I use these against a big unit of something like 20 orcs with a pain boy at the back, and we landed at the back because the guy put the pain boy at the back, because that's what you do when they got a 5 up feeling a pain now. So we landed him at the back, and of course they shot them with so many shots that they pretty much killed. I think they killed like 10. It was quite horrific, including the pain boy. Then they charged them. The next go, then the orcs turned around, you see, and loads of them died, but not all of them. I think there was about 6 left. 4 left, actually, no, 4 left. And you can place him at the front of the tank, then you can charge them, which they're not expecting you to do, or you can retreat to pull them away from what they were going to do. So it's an impact unit. It's got enough points to carry itself. It can do things like pick off characters potentially because they get placed at the back, things like that. And overall, yeah, it's a heavy investment of points, but I mean, that unit here, if you took 2 Hawk's Talons, well, even without the extra Hawk Talon, this is I think this is 68 dice, this unit. And you know as much as I do how much dice matter in 40k. So there aren't many places that you can get that many attacks per point, okay? Now, they're all strength 3 apart from 1 or 2, but he definitely makes a difference. With AP 3 and with his strength 4, he does help. He really does help. Okay, so now into the conclusion. So, in conclusion then, Swooping Hawks, they're all about movement, and they're all about don't underestimate them. One of the main advantages to them is that most opponents don't actually realise how they work. They've had their rules changed quite a lot in their existence. They've been around 1/4 of a century. When they used to come down, they used to have grenades that came down like crack grenades, and they used to draw a line on the ground wherever they flew they could hit, things like that. And players who've played the game a long time may actually misunderstand the rules just because they've had them play them before. They're not very commonly used for Eldar that often because of things like scat bikes and stuff. But if you've got the models and you want to use them, they are a huge benefit. In fact, I would go so far as to say I think they're the second most powerful aspect warrior because of the movement and the fact they can leap off the board and stuff like that. They really do have a lot going for them for objective secured reasons and stuff like that. But I won't tell you what the best unit in 40, I haven't reviewed them yet, but the best unit in the aspect unit in Eldar is, I won't lie to you, it's the best unit in the game, and nothing comes close. And I never see this mentioned in the forums, but when I looked at the rules for when they first came out in 7th, I was just shocked that GW had done this, and no one seemed to spot it. Everyone was talking about the Wraith Knight, and everyone was talking about the scat bikes, and they weren't the biggest problem in the Eldar Codex. There's an aspect warrior that I haven't reviewed yet that is so potent that it's just obscene. And if you know how to use them, and movement is key, then yeah, you might be guessing already what I'm referring to. But these are actually nearly as good. They're nearly as good because of their versatility as the best unit in 40k. And that's how highly I rate them. Now, you've got to remember as well that I'm talking about units of 106. But you could take 318, you could take 18 of these guys, 318 points, and do a lot of damage with them. They'll be doing something every turn. And they're really, really hard to work against if your opponent's good. This is hard to explain because most people play the game of 40k, or at least I do. I'm not a bad player, you know, and there are two reasons why I'm not a bad player. One, I research the opponents, and two, I understand movement. And I spend more time on their movement than I do on mine, in my head. And these guys, if I play against them, you never know what they're doing. You just never know. You can leave things that are likely candidates for their targeting, but you can't really manipulate how the opponent's going to use them. And for that reason, they're devilishly difficult to work with if you're facing them. Having said that, if you can catch them with the trousers down, then they don't survive. And there's quite a lot you can do if you're playing against them to set up crossfires and stuff like that. But it only goes so far. So, in conclusion then, just to finish up, I would say almost one of the best units in 40k, full stop. Their weaknesses are so obvious that you can mitigate them with their movement. And they've got something for everybody with the amount of dice they take. So, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Also, bear in mind this is 7th edition review. If 8th edition comes out, look in the comments because I'll have a update video somewhere floating about, and I'll make sure that you can see in the comments that there's an update video for if and when 8th edition comes out. So, thank you very much. That was Swooping Hawks.